Okay, we are live. Ms. Chairperson Brody, we are live and the video link has been posted in community. So feel free to begin when you're ready. Well, if you're, oh, there you
I kept on pressing a button and kept on bringing the other screen up. I am so sorry.
are. Good.
Good evening, everyone. Looking for my notes. And thank you so much for taking the time to join us for the Committee of the Whole. My name is Shantae Brody. I'm the chairperson of the Hartford Board of Education, and this is our August 6, 2026 meeting. So I am going to open up. And I'm going to immediately pass it to our CFO, Caitlin Richard, for an overview of policy 3140 and repurposing of funds. So she's going to handle those two items. Ms. Richard?
Thank you, and good evening, everyone. Good to see you all. I know it's been a bit, and we don't have finance committee over the summer. So what we're going to talk about today is a board policy that has been in existence, but actually has not been being followed. I don't know for how long, but part of our review of improvement has been looking across all the various board policies, making sure we're implementing them with fidelity. And so today is going to be the first crack at implementing this particular board policy about budget transfers. And the goal is we just make this a routine practice moving forward. So what the policy is, so it's board policy 3140, transfers of funds between categories. So what this means is we do budget transfers all year long. We're often moving things between one account code to another. If there's any changes or issues we need to correct, what the board policy says is if that transfer happens between our big object code categories and it's more than $50,000, then the board needs to approve it. The board chair can also approve on behalf of the board if there's an urgent need to transfer something, such as supplies that needs to be ordered, something like that. And you'll see an example of us doing that this year. But just for reference, when we say major object code, and you're probably going to learn more than you want to know about this, but I also think the intent of the board policy is to make sure you all are aware of some of the bigger changes happening in the budget over the course of the year. But the major object code is exactly what appears on those monthly reports that we send. So those are the categories. If you remember, you'll see salaries, then you see some other categories like contracts, purchased services, supplies, materials, property and equipment, and fringes at the bottom. So it follows that report is actually categorized by what we call this major object code. And essentially what this policy means is that if we move something between these categories and it's more than $50,000, we need your approval. So for example, if we want to move something from supplies to salary, it's more than 50,000, we're going to be coming to you. The process is going to look like ideally at board finance committee meetings, this would happen. That's probably the right venue. We don't have those over the summer, and so we're doing this at the committee meeting. And this one's really to serve as both we do need to approve some budget transfers, but also just getting you all used to this process. And of course, open to feedback as we do it. It is new for the team as well. But today is going to serve as an example of that. So that's what we're trying to achieve is implementing this board policy about budget transfers. To make it concrete, today we're going to talk about some specific transfers. The first is about moving money that was meant for the OPP contract that we are no longer continuing with to funding additional staff and supplies at Hope Academy. You're going to get a whole presentation on this tonight. And so this is going to be an opportunity for those programmatic owners to share the vision for Hope Academy and the use of those funds. I also think as kind of a meta note moving forward, we can use this budget transfer policy as an opportunity to talk through programmatic things if it's a significant amount of money. So we will be doing a deeper dive on that tonight. The second one is actually just really aligning account codes for curriculum. So I'll also go into a bit more detail, but basically curriculum can either be digital or it's like physical supplies, and it's just moving between those object codes. It was just that we didn't know what they were going to be when we started the budget process. So that one isn't actually a change in plan. It really just is updating the coding. And then the last one is a proposal to move funding within the HR budget, and it's moving it from the internet communications line to fund one position for an HR associate. So we'll talk about that a bit more too, and Dr. Hall can speak to that. But these are the categories of things we're talking about, and hopefully it gives you a sense of what we mean when we say kind of major budget transfer changes, both size of dollar, but also just movement between different lines. So I'll start with Hope. And like I said, we're going to have a whole presentation about this. And what we'll do is once I finish this, we're going to deep dive into Hope Academy. Then we'll do the vote just so that you have all the information before voting. But at a super high level from the financial perspective, we had put in the budget for the current year, FY27, $660,000 intended for OPP. We are not going forward with that contract, so those dollars were available. The vision is to transfer it to Hope, which is serving a similar population of students. We'll hear more about that. And really, it's going to funding positions. So that would include an assistant principal, a counselor, teachers, a school safety officer, in addition to the staff that Hope already has. So the idea is to expand the programming. And then there's also some lines just for substitute funding and general operating funds. Those are smaller. It's mostly the transfer to staff. So like I said, that team is going to go deep into detail on that. So I don't think we'll do questions on this right now, just because we'll have a whole presentation on it. But that is the overall takeaway is money that was budgeted for OPP. The request is to transfer it to Hope, and we will hear more. For the rest of the transfers, as I mentioned, there's kind of two categories. One is just updating the coding for curriculum. So is this a physical curriculum or a digital curriculum? We being the finance team just didn't know in the budget process, and we can do a better job to ask the teaching and learning team next time before we code it. The board chair already approved two of these, and again, it's no change at all in what the plan was. It just is moving between those object codes. So the chair approved as she can, especially when it's urgent, because we needed to order things for the start of school. There is one more left. It's for HMH, which is the math curriculum, and it's just moving that from basically physical supplies to digital supplies because it is a digital program. So that one's pretty straightforward. It's just an accounting update, but it is more than $50,000. And then the last one for tonight is the HR associate. And so the proposal is to move money from within the HR budget. It's currently in internet communications to fund one FTE for an HR associate. And I think Dr. Hall, if you're on the call, this probably is the right time if you just want to give a little context for that move and the vision for your team.
Oh, hello everyone. Good afternoon, and so glad to see y'all happy faces. The goal of this request is to provide more support, human capital support within HR to help to be able to move a lot of the work in a timely fashion. As you all know, my team has been normed to responding to emails within 24 to 48 hours, in addition to additional work that needs to get done on a timely manner. And right now, we only have 3 associates and 4 HR supervisors. So this will help to make sure that we have 4 associates, 1 for each supervisor, to help with the back end piece of that support.
Okay, thank you. And we have one more slide and then we'll open up to questions, but appreciate that overview. And this is just to sum it up. So like what you will be voting on, and like I said, we're going to go and talk more about Hope after this and then we'll vote. But what you're voting on is essentially saying, yes, we agree that we can transfer, first of all, the $660,000 that's currently in tuition, that's where the OPP money left, to the categories that would fund Hope Academy, that we can transfer about $91,000 that is currently in instructional supplies to internet communications because it's a digital curriculum, and that we can transfer that $50,000 from the HR budget, internet communications, to salary and fringe. So that's going to be what you're voting on, is essentially authorizing those transfers. As I mentioned, some of the curriculum ones, the board chair already authorized so we could move forward for the start of the school year. So that's kind of technically what will be happening. But I think we can pause now. And if there's any questions on like, what are we doing here? What's the purpose of this? Or specifically on the curriculum coding or HR associate, now would be a good time for that. I would save any questions about Hope because we're going to get a presentation about that after this, but I will open it up to any other questions.
Um,
Board members,
through-
I'm looking.
yeah,
Go ahead, Mr. Walker.
through the chair. Thank you.
Mute, please.
Okay. So this is about the transfer process, and so this is a comment for you, Caitlin, because you may not be here by the time we do policy committee at some point. I would like, this is all good. I totally like this. This is totally a great process. I just like a recommendation from you as to, from the CFO perspective, whether the $50,000 threshold is the right amount. Time has moved on now, and maybe $50,000 seemed like a big amount of money back in the day when this policy was first written. So I would like you maybe to have opportunity to provide to us a recommendation so that we can feed this into the policy committee. And the other thing I would like you to elevate too is the curriculum coding piece, where you know ahead of time that you're going to make some movements. And it's not really, that doesn't feel like a transfer. And so again, a recommendation for you, because it may help us write the policy and update it in a way that makes it make more sense for the modern time. So that's all. Before you leave, I'm just going to ask you to make those recommendations for us.
Yes,
That's it.
I would love to, because this is us just like, all right, let's follow it as is. I do think the threshold should be higher. I think inflation has happened since this was written. I think we could even consider $500,000. And as a litmus test, I think if you look at these, the one that I do think the board should weigh in on is this OPP to Hope transfer. Like, that feels important. It's enough money. It's programmatic. But you're right. Truly one of them is just coding. It's not that interesting. And then the last one is a pretty small dollar amount. So I'll do some formal recommendations, but off the bat, I would say it does need to be a higher dollar threshold. So yeah, but I love the idea of revising it in the policy committee.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. Any other questions before we talk about Hope Academy?
Board members, are there any questions at this point? Go ahead.
Oh, good.
No,
So I
go
think
ahead.
then-
You can continue. Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you were telling someone they could ask their question, but you're right, no questions. Perfect. So I think in that case, Christina, I'm not sure who's talking through Hope, but whoever's talking through Hope can take the floor.
No, I'll make an introduction.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, then back to you.
So now we're going to have a review and update about what we've been hearing so much about Hope Academy, and that's going to be Dr. Stephanie Lockhart. Dr. Lockhart.
Good evening, everyone. I'm happy to be here with you all this evening. So again, my name is Stephanie Lockhart. I am the Executive Director of Student Support Services, and I have been working on this transfer with Director Liliana Cuevas. She started the work before I got here, and she has done so much background on this, and it really has been a long haul. And so we're happy to be nearing the end of all of the work that has gone on regarding Hope Academy. So everything that we do, even in our newly founded department, we want to make sure that we are adhering to our mission and to our vision. We want to make sure that we are providing all of our students with the learning and supports that they need to succeed in life. And then we want them to just be transformed or ready to transform the world when they graduate. And so dealing with alternative programming is no different. We see alternative students as Hartford Public School students, and so they deserve the same care and support as every single program that we operate. So again, today we're talking a little bit about the plan to successfully transfer the students who were enrolled in Opportunity Academy last school year. Once the partnership ended, we had to do a lot of research and a lot of discussion about what would happen to those students. And so we want to give you an overview, talk through the solution that was selected, talk about the framework that we use for planning, and then next steps. Next slide, please. So just for context, these are the alternative programs that we offer in the district, starting with our student support and success centers. And that actually was the brainchild of Dr. Cuevas, Director Cuevas, who's on this call. And those are in operations at the 3 comprehensive high schools. They've been very successful in helping students just get caught up if they fall behind 1 or 2 credits. And then our next level of programming up from that would be Hope Academy. And so in order to get into Hope Academy, there is a referral process, and that's for students who are already age 15 and have earned 6 credits. And so if you haven't earned that amount of credits, then we would try to find another opportunity for you. And that other opportunity could be in the New Visions expansion program. And so it really is a non-traditional program, very much like Hope. It's for students who are a little bit older and who have a little bit less credit. And so we want to make sure that we have some options for them as well to get them re-engaged, get them back excited about coming to school and then getting closer to finish. What makes Hope and New Visions a little bit more accessible for some of our students is that they have staggered start times and end times, so it just provides a little bit more flexibility for some of our students. What we're talking about today is Opportunity Academy, and you saw that it's really a little bit further up on the continuum. These are for students who are a lot older, age 17, and who again are credit deficient. And so we want to make sure that we have the support necessary to provide them with counseling support, social work supports, getting them engaged and excited about post-secondary planning. So just really providing complete wraparound services, including college and career planning, individual transition plans, things like that. And then after that, the next option would be the credit diploma program all the way up to adult education. Next slide. So after very many people weighed in and we did a lot of research, the decision was made that the students from Opportunity Academy would be transferring into Hope Academy for multiple reasons. First one, of course, was immediate stability. We wanted to make sure there was no interruption in educational services for the students. They also already have existing staff and infrastructure, already have an existing student support systems and a schedule already in place. Transportation is already established as well. There's a structure for how the program should run. It has been a very successful program, as you'll see on the next slide. And Hope just continues to allow for that flexibility and personalization of graduation plans, all while providing counseling and social emotional support. Next slide, please. So as I said, Hope Academy has been very successful in the times that it has been implemented in Hartford Public Schools. So in various locations, you can see that the graduation rate has really been pretty phenomenal since the first year it has been in existence. Last year, the program was at the New Visions campus at Achievement First, and you can see there was a 96% graduation rate from that program last year. So overall, on average, there's been a 93% graduation rate for students from that program, which is very good considering that students end up in Hope Academy because they are initially disengaged from school or behind on credits. And so to be able to graduate students at this rate says a lot about how the program operates and how students feel supported and feel ready and motivated to go on to the next step. Next slide, please. So what are we talking about here? We're really talking about these 46 students. There were 6 that graduated last school year. One of the students will be returning to Buckley High School. And so there are 39 students that we are transitioning from OPP into Hope Academy for this upcoming school year. Currently, in the Hope program, there are 16 students. So we are projecting starting the school year with about 55 students. In total, we believe that that program, with the number of staff that it currently has and the location of the program, that we can house up to 75 students. So that allows us placements for about 20 more students who would come through a referral process into the Hope Academy program. Again, we just want to make sure that every student who is in an alternative program still has an individualized transition plan, and that they're making good progress towards graduation, because ultimately that is the goal, is for them to be able to start the next phase of their life, whether it's going into college, the military, or into the workforce. Next slide, please. So this was the planning framework that we used to ensure that we really covered all of our bases with this move. And so this started at the very beginning of June with making sure that we did a complete audit of all the transcripts to see what courses students needed, and how many credits all of the students had, making sure that we could get them to graduation in time, and then communicating with the families to let them know that the change was happening. That happened throughout June and July. Pretty extensive process to individually go through all of the transcripts and ensure that they have what they need. And so we are in phase 2 right now, which we're hoping to wrap up right before school starts. We've already started registering the students. We've already developed the plans that they all need to get them to the final step. We are wrapping up with the staff postings. There are a few teachers that are going with the program, and then some positions that we need to hire for. So that will be wrapped up by the end of this week. Course scheduling is already happening for those students. Dr. Cuevas has been working with members of her team to get that done. Again, that will be done by tomorrow. And then ongoing, we've already started having student and family transition meetings, and that will continue all the way up to school, so that both the students and families are ready to start school on the first day at Hartford High. And so throughout that process, they will be connecting with students and families, and then we'll begin phase 3, which will be throughout the entire year. So what we're talking about with the $660,000 today really, again, is about the staffing, just making sure we have the appropriate teachers and staff members to support the students at Hope Academy. So you can see on the left side what the program already has budgeted right now, and we are looking to hire some existing staff members for the upcoming school year, including an administrator, a social studies teacher, a school counselor. Initially, the plan was for 2 safety and security officers, but we are now down to 1 with cost and a 0.5 PE teacher. And so that kind of brings us to the end of the overview. Want to make sure that every student has an opportunity every day in a pathway that makes sense for them. And so we are going to open the floor up to questions right now.
Thank you. Were we given something on the expansion of New Visions? If the board could get that plan, that would be great. And the point, the security officer, was that in addition to what they already was having there at New Visions?
No, because the program will be transitioning to Hartford High, we will need a security officer to be with the program in its new location, so that the security officer that is currently, or the behavior tech that's currently at New Visions, will stay there with that program.
Okay, so Hope Academy was being hosted where New Visions is. Because we're adding the additional students that we've discussed tonight, they're going to Hartford High. New Vision is remaining on Blue Hills Avenue address at the old Fox Middle building.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Walker?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And you asked some of the questions that I was thinking too. So thank you. Dr. Lockhart, I need a little bit of education. Why Hope Academy instead of New Visions? Because my head was initially thinking these students would end up in New Visions. Is there a distinction why the Hope was better than New Visions?
I wouldn't say necessarily better, but more tailored to the students that were coming over from Opportunity Academy. Many of them had, through the last year, earned enough credits to go through the Hope Academy program, which really is a 2-year program to get them through graduation. It
Okay.
operates with project-based learning modules, and Director Cuevas can tell you a little bit more about that. So they operate in 6-week cycles, and they're able to earn credit a bit faster than if they were in a traditional setting. But we wanted to make sure that the students that were coming in had enough credits, and that matched the profile of the student that was in Hope, and so they could be together going through those models over the next 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
A quick follow-up, Chair. Okay. Thank you. So what you're saying is the Hope Academy has more of a 2-year time cycle, where New Vision would be a longer time cycle. And so is that a good way to look at the difference between the two programs?
Correct. And Director Cuevas, you can jump in at any time. Hope has been operating in the 2-year cycle because they already have some established modules for the students to complete. And so everyone is able to get the credits that they need. And so that's why we wanted to make sure that the students that were going into Hope Academy met that credit threshold so that we could get them completed in 2 years.
So
Now, I was going to say, Mr. Walker, they're totally two different programs. They're very different students when you think, well, it could be some overlap, but Hope Academy, and New Visions, were you speaking of just building space or actual, like, New Visions absorbing the Hope Academy students?
correct. And so I was going to end probably Dr. Lockhart by requesting to maybe a debrief or some type of debrief document that really spells out the difference more concretely, because I'm realizing that I may not have the clearest picture of New Vision Academy to really get the distinctions, but I from this conversation I've realized that Hope Academy are students who are not as unaccredited and seemingly have a clearer trajectory to a graduation finish line. And so I'm just maybe asking for a debrief outside this meeting, maybe a document or something that just helps me understand the distinctions more clearly. Thank you.
Yes, good afternoon, Board Member Walker. Yes, I will work on that and share it with you all.
Thank you.
All right, if there are no further questions, thank you all and have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Sorry, I do have a quick question.
Go
Sorry, I
ahead,
couldn't
Ms.
find the
Fortune.
button.
Go ahead, Ms.
For
Fortune.
Dr. Lockhart. So the staffing positions that you have come up with to fill, I imagine it took into consideration what staffing positions already exist at Hartford High. So you could supplement that, or is it completely two separate entities? Like, are the Hope Academy teachers, do they not teach the Hartford High students and vice versa? Just curious to know about that structure.
Good evening, Board Member Fortune. You are correct in that there are two separate programs, and so Hope Academy is just going to be housed in Hartford High because they do have the space to do so, but they're essentially operating as two different schools, which is why we're also providing an administrator for that program, because they will be responsible just for those 55 to 75 students that will be in that program. They will have lunch at a separate time from the Hartford High students. They will arrive at a different time than the Hartford High students. They're just being housed on one floor of the building.
So the half PE teacher, for example, how does that work? Are we literally hiring someone half-time, or do we have a half-time PE teacher already at Hartford High who's going to do the other half-time for Hope Academy?
That is a great question. So that is one of the positions that we were actually hoping to share with Hartford High, because some of the students do need that PE/health credit. However, the Hartford High PE teacher was already maxed out with the number of sections that he was teaching. And so we would only need someone to teach half time with the number of students that need PE and health. So we'll be looking to hire a part-time person, yes.
Ms. Fortune, are you all set?
I guess I'm just curious overall about the strategy that led to picking Hartford High to house it. I can understand logistically why it's run on a different schedule because they have the 6-week increments in a way that a traditional high school doesn't. And it's probably already, obviously, a lot of you have given this a lot of thought, but just knowing that we do have some teacher shortages, Hartford High did have to let go of some positions, and now we're bringing in new staff specifically for this program. Was there a consideration to see, since we're bringing in a new program in that same school building that will co-locate, was there the effort to try to bring support that could serve both groups of students to the extent that it's feasible?
I'm sorry, I just want to get clarity on your question. So you're asking, did we look into seeing if we could possibly share teachers with Hartford High and Hope Academy?
If not share teachers, but also consider what are the gaps that Hartford High has, and how do we strategically hire to serve the Hope students and potentially support them in some of those gaps, like the gym teacher. Like, it seems like it would be easier to hire a full-time gym teacher if we could align budgets with Hartford High and the other needs that they have. I know they had to let go of their librarian and those types of things. So I particularly because it's Hartford High, knowing they had to make some tough choices that lots of people in the school and the community were very upset about. Did we explore how to use the opportunity of bringing Hope as also a way to strengthen that entire school building for all the students there?
I would say there was a lot of thought that went into planning for this move, and staffing considerations was definitely one of them. I think there were a couple of things that we had to think about, and one of those being that the strength of the Hope Academy program, as well as all of the alternative programming, has been smaller class sizes compared to the traditional high school setting. And so the thought process was to try as much as we could to keep the class sizes at 15. And so all of the teachers will have 4 sections of 15 students each. So they really would be teaching the maximum number of sections as well as the maximum number of students. And so it would have been great if we could have shared teachers with Hartford High. It just wasn't feasible because the other challenge that we faced was that the schedules for both programs, well, for Hartford High was already completed by the time we got to this programming. And so that is one of the challenges we ran into when we were looking to share the PE teacher, was that the PE teacher had already maxed out his sections with the number of students. And so we would have loved to be able to share staff members and offer more programming to both programs, both Hartford High and Hope Academy. We just didn't see a way that it was possible. Director Cuevas, anything that I forgot?
I think you included all that was that we had thought about when we were planning for Hope Academy to be at Hartford High.
Yeah. And if certainly there was a way for us to find someone who taught PE and another subject who was dual certified, we would love to hire that person, because you're correct. It is easier to find a full-time teacher than it is to find a part-time teacher. So if we do happen to get lucky to find someone that's dual certified and we could share that person with Hartford High, that would be great.
Okay, thank you. That does answer my question. I remember at one point I attended a meeting, forget which board members were there, with some teachers within the district. And some of them mentioned sometimes this feeling of when there's 2 different programs that are co-located in one school, and then one class size is X, another class size is, X minus 10. That creates this sense of like disparity among students. Is that a concern at all? Like if these, Hartford High kids are like, well, my classrooms have 26 students and they all have 15 students. Is this something that we do see at the high school level, or that we can mitigate against because they're in a different floor? It's not something I would have thought that would come up as an issue, but teachers have brought that up as concerns, or even they felt like they were being overworked when other class sizes were smaller for different programs within the same building.
Right. I can certainly see how that would be a challenge for teachers. You're down the hall from someone and you have 25 students and someone else has 15. But I think we do have to think about the fact that students who are in an alternative program arrive there because of a referral for some reason that they were already having challenges in a traditional class. So we want to take into consideration the personalized option of this alternative placement, which does work better, and it is more successful when the students can get a little bit more face time with their teachers and they can get more attention in a classroom that is smaller. And so that is one of the benefits of alternative programming. The other thing to consider is that even though the class sizes are smaller, they still do have a lot more need to end up in this class rather than in a traditional setting. The teachers do have to do a lot of relationship building. There's a lot of time spent with resetting expectations, motivating the students, getting them to come into the building. So it's definitely hard to compare the workload, but I know that the students that are in the alternative programming are there because they require just a little bit more attention and a little bit more effort than students who are in a traditional classroom.
Thank you. I agree with all of that. Just, I guess, food for thought. Maybe when we do have building training or whatever staff training that we're doing, mindful that that might be something that might come up, that it might not come up, just to share with teachers and the administrators in those buildings so that they don't feel like there's different treatment of students. It's more so that we're meeting the students' specific needs. But I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, thank you for lifting that. That's definitely a consideration for us moving forward.
Thank you. So I think we're all set on that presentation. And we're going to move to the motion. So the motion is that the Hartford Board of Education authorize the budget transfers as detailed in the attached and discussed. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Thank you. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays? No nays, any abstentions? The ayes have it, the motion passes. And thank you everyone for your time.
Have a good night. all.
Enjoy the